one of the biggest challenges that families face while going through the probate process, it's not the paperwork or the court process or even selling the home. It's disagreements with family members, especially when the family members have a different idea of what to do with the loved one's home. I'm going to tell you a quick story of a situation that happened to some clients of mine, and then I'm going to continue by giving you some pointers of what you can do to help negate any costly mistakes that sometimes families make when it comes to disagreements about the loved one's home. So I had some clients, their mother had passed away. They reached out to me about selling the house, and then a couple weeks later I got a phone call saying, oh, we're going to hold off. Our brother wants to move back to the area and he's going to go ahead and buy mom's house. Well, a year later, my phone rings again saying, well, Lynette, we're going to have to go ahead and kick the brother out because he moved all his stuff in. He never did get qualified for a loan. In the meantime, the house is in worse condition than it was when you saw it a year ago. So we ended up putting the home on the market, got an investor to end up dealing with it because there was a lot of junk on the property that nobody was going to want to deal with, including them. They had been very patient in that year's time, and it was just time to get rid of the home. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about, in this family's case, they had a plan. They kind of sort of had a plan. It just didn't go off the way they were hoping to go off. So what we're going to talk about today is that, disagreements are going to come up when it comes to what to do with the inherited property, especially if somebody does want to purchase it, and how you can avoid some of these costly mistakes. So number one, just know right off the bat, everybody's going to have a different opinion. Especially if there's more than one sibling involved. If there's just two or three of you, sometimes you can figure it out pretty easily. But if you've got several siblings, just know everybody's going to have a different opinion. One's going to want to rent it, keep it and rent it out. If it's a second home, they may want to keep it for the family. And then you may have everybody else just saying, hey, let's just send it, get rid of it and sell it to an investor, or let's put it on the market. So everybody is going to have a different opinion. So it's really important right from the get-go to communicate. Everybody sit down with cool heads and say what is best for the estate. What do we all agree that we should do with the property? Also, while you're going through that process, you also need to make sure that there's enough money in the estate to be able to do what you're wanting to do. Number two is you're going to have one sibling that wants to buy the house. If that situation does come up, here are some questions to ask. Can the sibling qualify for a loan? Are they already in the process of maybe looking at buying a property and being like, okay, I'm all qualified, I'm ready to go? Have they even spoken to a lender? I guess I should have put that first. Have they spoken to a lender? Are they qualified for the home? Do they have the funds available for a potential down payment? See, the idea is if you were to sell this home on the market, the proceeds would go to however it's divvied up in the will. There could potentially still be a loan on the home, like a mortgage. So whoever's qualifying needs to qualify for fair market value so that everybody can the other two people can get paid out equally, if that makes sense. So do they have the additional funds available for closing costs, any type of HOA fees, anything like that? And then how long is the family going to wait for them to complete the purchase? Those are all things that you guys are going to have to sit down and figure out and see if it actually makes sense. Because we all know, we all have one of those family members in our family that maybe doesn't quite have their ducks in a row. That's what happened with the story I told you right up front. They thought for sure he would get his act together and get a job and be able to qualify, and that didn't end up happening. So if you kind of already know that the family member that wants to buy the house isn't going to be able to get it together, then just move on and do what the rest of the family wants to do with the home. Also, keep in mind that delays can be very expensive while everyone's trying to decide. So try to get a decision made early on, because you're still going to have to keep paying the mortgage. You're going to have to keep paying the taxes on the property, the insurance, utilities, HOA fees, maintenance costs. Vacant homes can deter really fast if somebody's not there and actually, taking care of the property. It can be a huge target for vandalism, theft, that sort of thing. So just know that there's going to be some costs involved the longer you keep going, month by month by month. So that's why it's really important to have some deadlines in place. So even if somebody doesn't want to buy the house, sit down and come up with a deadline with everybody. Like, this is the day we want to get the house on the market, kind of thing, or get it sold. Okay, number 4 is protect the property while decisions are being made. If there is a sibling that's currently living in the home, who at this point is now paying the bills? Okay, so let's think about a family member who maybe moved in with mom or dad or both parents, and they ended up taking care of them in their latter years. If they're wanting to stay in the home, are they going to go ahead and take over all of the costs involved of maintaining the home and paying utilities and those types of things? Just those are some questions that you want to ask. And if there is nobody in the home, you do want to make sure that you keep it protected. Again, you want to make sure the property's secure by changing locks if you need to, making sure you put a no trespassing sign up, maybe install a security system if one wasn't there, or a ring system, some kind of camera system so you can keep an eye on the property while no one's there. And then of course, keep up basic maintenance. That includes if there's a pool or landscaping, making sure those items are continually to be maintained while there's nobody living in the house, because those short-term, the longer a house sits vacant, the greater the risk, I guess I should say, the greater the risk that some of these things could end up happening, and we don't want those to happen to you. So, number 5, follow the will. At the end of the day, it's the job of the executor to follow the wishes that are in the will, not to give in to the sibling that wants to buy the house or rent it out. If the will says to sell the home and the proceeds will go evenly to these siblings, make sure that you are taking, following those wishes, okay? So again, if we go back to that other point and you have a family member that was staying in the home and wants to continue to live there, you can't necessarily give in to them. You need to go, well, at the end of the day, my job as executor is to follow the will. And the mom wanted the house sold, we're selling the house. So it's not going to be a fun conversation to have. So, and I did do a video on the job of an executor, what your job duties are. I'll go ahead and pin it above and also down in the show notes for you. And then point number 6, sometimes professional guidance is just needed. If you're needing help, get professionals involved. Talk to your probate attorney. Get a financial advisor involved, especially if maybe there was still a mortgage on the home. What does that look like? How is that going to be evenly distributed between the remaining beneficiaries? And of course, by all means, get a real estate professional involved. Even if you're wanting to sell that property to a family member, get a real estate professional involved just so that they can pull comps for you so you can kind of get a fair market value. Plus, at this point, you would have already most likely gotten your appraisal done on the property as well. So at the end of the day, disagreements, they're going to happen. The biggest thing is just communicate. Make sure everybody's kind of on the same page, because we don't want those timelines and financial requirements to take over in the event that purchase can't work out. So it's really important for everybody to be on the same page. We have deadlines. This is the day you need to be qualified. If you're not qualified, we're going to put the house on the market. And that's that, because that's your job as the executor, is to protect the estate and to make sure you're handling the estate properly. Next week, we are going to talk about how long does probate actually take. So you might want to go ahead and hit that bell, or subscribe, hit the bell. And if you got any value out of this episode, I would love it if you give me a good thumbs up. And then I will see you next week.